when Michael J. Fox returned to acting after retirement, and what his role on Shrinking reveals about how he now thinks about work, purpose, and letting go. Today's video looks at Fox's return to television in Shrinking, why he stepped away from acting in 2020, and why this moment is not the comeback many people expected. For decades, Michael J. Fox stood among the most recognizable faces in television and film, known for a style built on speed, precision, and an almost restless energy. The rise began in the 1980s with Family Ties, accelerated into global stardom through the Back to the Future trilogy, and later returned to television with Spin City, a run defined by fast dialogue and relentless timing. That pace collided with reality in 1991, the year Fox was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease at just 29 years old, a diagnosis he kept private while continuing to work. Behind the scenes, symptoms progressed slowly, which meant the work continued even as the personal cost increased. Public disclosure came in 1998, and with it, Parkinson's disease entered mainstream conversation through one of Hollywood's biggest stars. By 2000, the strain became unavoidable, and leaving Spin City reflected how difficult it had become to balance a lead network role with a progressive neurological condition. From that moment forward, the direction of his career changed. The shift was gradual, but it never reversed. Walking away from Spin City did not mean stepping away from public life, and that distinction shaped everything that followed. Advocacy took center stage, especially through the Michael J. Fox Foundation, founded in 2000 and now credited with helping raise more than $2.5 billion for Parkinson's research. Acting never disappeared entirely, which meant appearances became selective rather than constant. Roles on shows like The Good Wife often reflected his real-life condition, and audiences responded because those performances acknowledged Parkinson's instead of hiding it. None of that made the work easier. Parkinson's affects movement, speech, and memory, and for an actor whose career depended on timing and physical control, those limits carried real consequences. As the years passed, continuing at the same pace stopped being realistic. That reality led directly to a decision that arrived in 2020. The announcement came in 2020 when Michael J. Fox confirmed he was retiring from acting. What surprised many people was not the decision itself, but the tone surrounding it. Later reflections described the moment as non-emotional, and Fox himself said he was kind of okay with the choice. No farewell tour followed, no final headline-grabbing performance, just a quiet acceptance that the relationship with acting had changed. For fans, the announcement felt final. Nearly 3 decades had been spent balancing a demanding profession with a progressive condition, and retirement came across as listening to reality rather than giving up. The years that followed stayed quiet on screen. That silence lasted until Shrinking entered the picture. Shrinking streams on Apple TV Plus and comes from Bill Lawrence, the same creator who once worked with Fox on Spin City, which meant there was shared history before any conversation began. The series blends humor with emotional honesty, focusing on mental health, grief, and human connection in a way that avoids spectacle. Season 3 premiered on January 28, 2026, and introduced a new character played by Michael J. Fox, marking his first on-screen acting role since retiring in 2020. 5 years had passed, which immediately raised questions about whether this signaled a full return. That assumption misses the point. According to Fox, the process started simply because he watched the show and felt it handled Parkinson's disease with care and respect. Reaching out to Bill Lawrence followed, not as a pitch but as a thank you. From that conversation, everything else grew. Conversations between Fox and Lawrence turned into something more concrete, and eventually into a guest arc during Shrinking Season 3. One condition guided the entire process, which was Fox's insistence that he would not play himself. Instead, he chose to play what he called just a guy. The character, Jerry, also lives with Parkinson's disease and forms a friendship with Harrison Ford's Dr. Paul Rhodes over the course of the season. Those scenes avoid speeches and lessons, focusing instead on presence and shared experience. For Fox, the work felt different from anything before, largely because long-term expectations no longer existed. Showing up without pressure about contracts or future seasons changed the experience entirely. As Fox put it himself, he did not have an agenda. What matters most is what this moment is not, and Fox has been clear about that from the start. This is not a full return to acting, not a restart, and not a reversal of retirement. Traditional comeback narratives never fit the situation, which meant resisting that framing became part of the message. Fox described the experience as fun and meaningful, nothing more complicated than that. Openness to selective opportunities remains, but only if they make sense within his current limits. That boundary draws a clear line between choice and obligation. Hollywood often celebrates redemption arcs and triumphant returns. This story refuses that shape because alignment, not proof, drove the decision. Harrison Ford adds another layer to Shrinking, playing Doctor Paul Rhodes, a therapist also living with Parkinson's disease. Pairing Ford with Fox brings together two actors from different generations who share an understanding of what the condition demands. Credibility comes from that shared weight rather than fictional heroism. The scenes show aging and illness as lived realities, portrayed by performers who know exactly what those realities cost. Nothing about the dynamic aims for pity or nostalgia. Normalization becomes the goal. Audience reaction shifted because the context was already known. The diagnosis, the retirement, and the cost had all been public for years. By the time Fox appeared on screen again, the question was no longer whether he could still do it. The real question became what it meant that he chose to. His answer has stayed consistent throughout. Fame did not pull him back, closure did not drive the decision, and nothing about it felt unfinished. The choice happened because it felt right. That simplicity carries more weight than any comeback headline. While Shrinking placed Michael J. Fox back in the spotlight, his most enduring impact lives elsewhere. Through the Michael J. Fox Foundation, billions of dollars have moved toward Parkinson's research, shaping the field in ways far beyond entertainment. That work continues whether or not another role ever appears. In that context, Shrinking fits neatly into the larger picture, not just as a show, but as representation. Parkinson's appears as part of life rather than the end of it. That framing mirrors the path Fox has chosen for himself. Early 2026 finds Shrinking Season 3 airing weekly, with episodes continuing into April. No additional acting projects have been announced by Michael J. Fox. Boundaries, however, have been clearly drawn. Openness exists, selectivity guides decisions, and nothing is being chased. For fans hoping for a full comeback, that clarity may disappoint. For Fox, it appears to offer freedom. This was the story of what happened when Michael J. Fox returned to acting after retirement, and what that moment revealed about how he now defines work, success, and purpose. Shrinking did not function as a comeback, because it was never meant to. The appearance came from choice rather than pressure, from intention rather than expectation, and without the need to become anything larger than it already was. For Michael J. Fox, that may be the most powerful role he has played yet.